as soon as I get over to the envy factory. Just see that bubble? It's a little bubble. Marley!
Oh, you squished her!
Sorry, Marley.
You squished it between my water bottle.
I didn't mean to squish her. Today is a travel day. We're cruising over to Oregon for the day, and when I get there tonight, as promised on my Instagram, Denny, who is the owner of Envy, and I are sitting down and we're answering your guys' questions. I don't fly out for another couple hours, so we have plenty of time, but first things first, if we go anywhere with this one, she needs... Oh, her Starbucks. I mean, I got one too. I got one too just because, I mean, when in Rome. Anyways, next stop, airport. Thanks guys, have a good day. Funny story, one of my favorite shows, or actually probably my favorite show in the entire world to watch, is The Office. And I've come to this airport so many different times, and I've been through here probably at least probably 1,000 times now, but there was a scene in The Office that was actually filmed here, and it was changed. My voice is now louder. There was actually a scene filmed here in Ontario Airport for The Office, and I recognized the airport. You know you travel too much when you recognize the airport in a TV show. That's pretty bad. And I'm going to the exact spot where that scene was filmed because I have like an extra 30 minutes, so hey, what the hell? Boom, here we are. This is exactly the spot. Gate 210. Should we reenact it?
I guess this is it. Hey, will you guys let me know if this ever airs? All right. Oh,
this is gonna feel so good to get off
my chest.
That's all I got. I have my big tripod right here, but I'm not setting that up right now. But this is actually kind of crazy. And it's funny because I've actually sat here a million different times, but not knowing that this is the airport that Michael and Pam were in when they hugged. But anyways, let's go back over to my gate and sit and download some shows on Netflix to watch. Made it. One thing I didn't bring, I actually did not bring my scoot, and the reason I didn't is because I'm getting a fresh one as soon as I get over to the envy factory. Just see that bubble? It's a little bubble. So we gotta find Denny right now, and then as soon as we find Denny, we're gonna cruise over to the warehouse, and I need a new whip really bad. Gotta be careful, careful, careful. Got my bag, got the scoot. As I said earlier, well not earlier, but in yesterday's video, I brought the Decade scooter because I want a whole bunch of people to see it over at the skate park because not a lot of people are gonna be able to actually see this thing. So figured it was a cool idea, and they need to be nice enough to carry it. Next stop. Okay, so change of plans. We didn't end up going to the warehouse right away because it was like a 2-hour drive to actually get there and back. So tomorrow we have to do that because I need a scooter because right now I don't have one. But earlier I put up this post on my Instagram. All right, you guys, if you have ever wanted to be a part of the vlog, if you've ever wanted to see your face on the vlog, well, right now is your chance. I want you guys to go and post an Insta story, tag me and Envy, and ask any question you want about Envy. I'll be sitting down with the owner of Envy tonight in Oregon and answering all of your guys' questions. Well, at least some of them. So create an Insta story, film whatever you want, whatever question you want. We'll get to as many of them as we can. Make sure you guys tag me so I can see it, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be in the vlog tomorrow. Now, as promised, I wanted to give you guys the chance to be a part of the vlog, see your face in today's video. So we're gonna go ahead and cut through some of the clips that I received, and we're gonna get Denny down here, and we're gonna talk about all the questions that you guys have. Okay, I only have 2 cameras. I mean, I don't travel with a huge bag, it's just a small bag, so we gotta make this look as good as we can right now, okay? All right, you guys, so we are sitting here with a good friend and Envy owner, Denny Spicer. Denny, thank you very much for sitting down with us. As promised, you guys, we are gonna be asking Denny questions as well as myself that you guys actually posted on your Instagram stories, tagging both myself and Envy. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. First question comes from our friend Joshua.
Raymond, what was the first name of the brand? Envy or Blunt?
All right, a really good question. It's a really good question to start it off. So what was the first name of the brand? Envy or Blunt? Denny, you wanna go ahead and take this one?
First of all, I love the camera work there. It's good. Okay, so Blunt, simple. The way I came up with Blunt was at the time, you know, we're talking 10 years ago. So was it 2000? It was probably mid 2009. Wasn't too much out there. The most dominant brand out there was Razor. Wasn't too impressed of just like, you know, what they did and how they, obviously, like, you know, I pay respect to them because there's no sport without Razor. Always remember that.
Absolutely.
But just, you know, they no colors, no, you know, things like that. So what I thought was like, I want to take it in a different direction. And the idea was, well, literally the opposite direction. That was kind of what I thought at the time. Razor, blunt. Razor blades, blunt.
Just so we're clear, Envy is a part of America as well as Australasia. Australasia, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So really, like, and the reason why blunt sort of grabbed me was it was a trick. You know, it's a trick in skateboarding, BMX, and scooters. You know, so to me it made sense. Didn't really think anything of it. But then when we came over to America and started sort of, you know, working over here, my phone blew up. and it was
I think I know why.
Yeah, let's just say I had a lot of mums call up and go, why would you ever try to sell something that was named Blunt to my kid? Conservative, which I respect and understand. So we sort of like revisited the name and went, you know what, let's look for something else. And at that time, we were quite popular. So we sort of went for the Envy name. We checked if there was anything out there that was similar or anything like that, or definitely look at it as one of the sins, so it was kind of a cheeky thing, you know, in that sense. But yeah, so Envy was the name, and we kept Blunt in Europe because it was more established over there.
Right.
Thank you to SDG, by the way. You know, and so they sort of established the name, and you know, we're kind of making ground over there, so we didn't really want to interrupt the Europe part of it. So it was a hard decision of just like, okay, well, let's just, you know, we'll split it in two. Envy is America and Australasia, and through Asia and New Zealand, like kind of area. And then pretty much if you were to go from China out towards England, that's all Blunt.
So the answer, the easy answer for that is essentially just both, just in different areas, that's all. But very
Great
good.
question.
It's a good
Awesome
start,
question.
for sure. All right, so our next question comes from Matt Scoots.
Envy, I want to know if there's any criteria you have for when you're deciding who you want to be a team member. Like, for example, Raymond Warner, is there any, like, special qualifications he had that were like, okay, we want this guy to ride for Envy? And if there are any, what are some examples that you could give that some team members have to meet?
Good question.
Another one, another really, really good question. You know, one thing that I kind of have started to learn over the years is when it comes to just riding your scooter, you guys want to ride for fun first. That's one thing that when I was younger, I never worried about a sponsor. All I wanted to do was go outside, ride, and have a good time, because that's really why we're all here, of course. You guys are here to ride your scooters and have fun and escape whatever else you might be experiencing. That's what I use it for. It's one of my main things. It's just to escape the real world, if that's what you want to call it. But there are obviously a lot of different qualifications, me knowing, just because I've been there a couple of times. And do you want to is there anything in particular that you guys really, really look for?
Yeah, yeah, of course. So it's one of the things is like, first of all, it's not about riding ability. It is, but it isn't. Look, you do need to ride at a certain level. You do need to be like, you know, draw attention at skate parks, videos, competitions, all that kind of stuff. That's important, but it's not the end of the world. One thing that we really do look for is about, look, at the end of the day, let's just say as an ambassador. You've got to be an ambassador for yourself, the sport, and the brand. If you're not those three, you're not really appealing to us. You know, for us, it's about sort of like pushing the sport to a new level, and then we sort of come along with the ride, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, you know, a big part of it is, you know, I definitely know from my early years of riding bikes is that, you know, people are looking up to you. If you're wearing our brand or anyone's brand for that matter, is that, you know, if you're riding at that ability, people are watching you in every single way. Like, not even just like at the skate park, but whatever post you would put up or anything like that. So you are on show literally 24 hours a day. So we're looking at people that are conscious of that, who believe in our brand, who want to ride our brand and our products and want to help us develop the sport and the products. Yeah, so pretty much. And then a good example of that is, you know, from talking about, like, we don't particularly look for a certain type of rider. Like, you know, you've got John Rays, Love that guy. He works. He works.
Yeah, he does.
You know, and he's out there, and he's, you know, his speciality is, you know, doing flatland, and, you know, he rides street and parks and all that kind of stuff. But he's found his little niche, and he wants to go for that, which we totally respect and love. Ray, you know, park rider. He's not sitting there bombing rails every 5 minutes and stuff like that, but
No.
But then on the other side, you know, we've got like Flavio and Charles, like, you know, like just throwing themselves down anything and everything, you know, and Will is the same. Like, you know, Will started off in a, you know, park environment and moved into streets. So it's, for us, we're looking for the variety, but we're also looking for the good guys. Yeah. You know, we want someone who's going to be an ambassador, again, for themselves, but also the brand. Yeah, and that's, I want to touch on one thing that Denny did say is you are here to represent the brand. So for example, anytime I wear this shirt and I go outside, you guys have to realize that you're representing somebody, so you need to be on your best behavior. You need to present yourself extremely well. Thankfully, I do that all the time. At least I try to. Yeah. And so, that's kind of one of the things that I want to touch on, because I remember the first encounter that I had with a pro scooter rider. It was way back in the day, and it was at my local skate park. And unfortunately, it wasn't a good interaction. He was extremely rude to me, and he just kind of blew me off, even though I had to work up confidence just to go up there and say, hello, my name is Raymond. And that's something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. And I'll remember for the rest of my life that he rode for Team Razor at the time. And it just crushed me. So if you guys ever do get a sponsor, whether it be Envy or not, you guys need to realize what kind of title that is. Just keep that in mind. And look, and it goes with scooters and outside life as well. Yeah. With that said though, you don't know about this, but we're looking for riders in the UK and America. So there's going to be an announcement on the website, but also on our social media. Follow the links. Just a little bit of a hint, if you've seen this video, you might have a bit of inside knowledge to get noticed. So just fill it all in, and we'll check out what you got. Awesome, and I'll put the Envy Instagram as well as the Envy website below. So if you guys want to take a look at that, well, we're gonna call it a survey for now. Yeah, application. Application, that's even better. Go down and just be on the lookout for it. Like I said, or like Denny said, he's gonna be posting all up about it on the Envy Instagram. So be on the lookout. You guys might have your opportunity right there. Yeah. The next question comes from Evan_Cortinez. This is not a video, this is actually a photo, but I thought it was a really good question for Denny. And the question is, does the owner of Envy ride scooters? And yeah, look, the answer is no. BMX background. I did try. Like in the early days, I think I was riding with Brendan, Max, and Wazzer, I think. Oh no, it might have been Mitch. Yeah, Mitch. And I grabbed one of the scooters and tried to flare. This is at Woodward, correct? No, this is Ramfest in Australia. Oh, Ramfest, okay. Woodward, actually, Andrew Broussard, we were riding one of the, in the evening, everyone went to bed, and we were riding in the evening, and I was convinced that I could do a backflip. That was so I went from the foam, and I just started going for the resi. Let's just say it didn't work that well. Wheelbase is too small for me. That was simply like, it's a little different than a bike. It's totally different to a bike, but no, like I don't ride. I love the sport though. Like I live, breathe, and for the last 10 years, you know, you could ask me pretty much anything about the sport, and I'll be able to tell you what it is. Most of the time, he tells me stuff I don't know. Yeah. And and this is what I do. So you can tell he's constantly all about scooter stuff. Always. Yeah. Yeah. I live and breathe it. Obviously, it's my job as well, but no, I got so much respect for everyone out there that's doing, and you know what they're doing is insane. Like, again, like I'm used to a wheelbase, you know, this wide. You guys are doing a wheelbase in this lady, and it's all about, you know, balance and whatnot, obviously. But no, it's great, and yeah. Short answer, no, I don't. I ride BMX. Don't think I should ever touch a scooter again. No more flares for Denny. No.
What was your guys' inspiration to start Envy?
Another good one.
That's a great one.
This is not a Raymond question. This is the Denny question. I wasn't around with the actual Envy and Blunt days back then. I was back in Australia, so yeah. This is a full-on Denny one. So Denny, what was your inspiration? This was a long time ago. This was 10 years. Yeah. Again, you know, BMX rider. So I can't say that I was riding scooters at the time or anything like that. So generally I was riding 5-dot in Sydney. Good skate park. So amazing. So that was my local at that time.
I was there with a couple of BMX riders, and we were watching these guys, you know, obviously taking in turns, and these scooter riders were in there, and they're on razors, and just the noise, like for BMX, it's like if you have something that's undialed on a BMX, it not only drives you crazy, but all your friends around you are just telling you off, kind of thing.
And it's not good for your stuff either.
No, it wears it really
Terrible.
quickly. And these guys were just riding these scooters, and it was just like a bag of rocks, like it was just like rattling and all this kind of stuff. And you know, one of them actually broke their bar, and you know, when they got out, I sort of went over to them, and you know, first kind of question was just like, you know, like what's going on? Like why wouldn't you tighten things up? And they just sort of, they're like, we try, we can't, you know, this. And I'm like, well, what about the, you know, you broke a bar, is there an aftermarket product for it? And they were like, no. And this kid was really bummed out, like he was super upset. And I'm like, well, you know, he's like, oh, I have to buy a whole new scooter.
I remember that. I remember those days.
And to me, like, you know, it was just so foreign to me. Like I just could not understand it. And I'm like, no, but like surely you could just order a new one. And they're like, no, you literally have to go and buy a whole new one. Right?
Yeah.
And you know, and so that obviously caught my attention. And then there was, you know, a couple other different times I noticed the same thing, and it was just recurring. Like I just keep seeing these kids who would just, you know, they'd ride for an hour and break something and have to sit out. And then, you know, so I sort of went, okay, well, let's do some research. So jumped on the internet. The only kind of things I could at that time find was, you know, French ID was around, and we're talking like early 2009. So
yeah, this is a long.
This is 11 years ago. Probably half of you guys weren't even born, you know, but it was a long time ago, right?
Probably more than half.
And yeah, and so I was just looking around, and what I could find was Phoenix just started. So you know, funny enough, we're in the same town as where they started. I believe I did see some TSI stuff there on the internet. We had a local brand called Mutts, who was a guy that was, I think he was a fabricator, and he was just sort of welding in his part-time, you know, building bars in the early stages. Yeah, and so you just could not find anything. So my BMX background, I knew some manufacturers, I knew that kind of stuff, and I started asking around, made some samples, and I started going around to stores and just sort of showing, you know, I went into Rampfest and showed them, you know, a sample and said, hey, like, would you guys be interested in this? And they just literally just grabbed it out for me and just said, if you can make 100 of these, please do, kind of thing, we need them. And, you know, at the time I didn't have much money and stuff like that, and just by chance I met my business partner now, Barry Cuneo, and like hats off to him for believing in me. Like it's a big thing. Like, you know, I was just a dirty BMX rider, you know, back then kind of thing. Probably still am. But, you know, and he believed in me. He said, look, you know, I can see what you're trying to do here. And he, you know, backed me. And yeah, I started off with bars. That was the first thing we made. Was going to make stickers, but I'm like, you know, you guys have got grip tape, and I'm just going to brand the grip tape. So we ended up just, you know, buying a whole lot of grip tape, and I just went, every time I went riding, I would just take it out and hand it out to anyone that was riding scooters and said, hey, you know, take this, and blunt was across. You probably saw that in the early days.
I remember it very well.
Yeah, and yeah, we kind of grew like that, but inspiration was, I just saw a need. That's the simple thing, and I think that's most businesses sort of stuff that way. They see something that's like, hang on, this is a need that needs to happen. Luckily I have my BMX background, I could bring that, you know, view through, but yeah, that's kind of where I went.
And can you guys, like, a lot of you guys that are watching now, again, you weren't around in those days, very few of you guys. And could you imagine breaking something slight, like a wheel, breaking your back wheel, which happens from time to time now. And now you can just go to the store, you can buy a single wheel, and it costs you whatever. Like sometimes you can get wheels for like 20 bucks. Sometimes you can get expensive ones, but most of the time you can find ones online, something like that. But back then, if you broke one wheel, it was gonna cost you $70 because you had to get a whole new complete. And in Australia, that would have been around how much for a whole new scooter?
Oh, I think it was like $130.
And this is for a razor. For a razor scooter.
Also back then as well, there wasn't many, so they could sell out quite quickly.
Yeah.
So, you know, if it was just after Christmas when everyone, you know, got their scooters, you might have to wait 2 months for a scooter just to replace your bar, unless you had a friend that broke something that you could grab off that. And, you know, I definitely know in those early days, like I would go into, I won't bring their name up, but I could go into their garage and was piled to the roof of just different scooter parts and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, it wasn't easy back then.
Yeah, and it was not accessible to everybody. Like a lot of households out there can't afford to buy whole new scooters all the time. So hats off for bringing that into our sport. We needed it.
How did you guys come up with the names for all your scooters?
Man, there's a lot of scooters. I can tell you, there are a lot of scooters in this guy has designed, and parts, this and that. Yeah, there's all kinds of them. And how do you think about this kind of stuff? All the names in the world, you land on one. How exactly? What's your thought process there?
Probably it's fun. I'll admit it. And look, every product probably has 10 names, and we end up discussing it within our group that's probably the best one. But and I can tell you we've come up with some really crazy and stupid names. No, but like what I do is like pretty much like when I'm designing the product, whatever I feel and stuff like that. And probably a good example is SOB forks. You know, so they've been around for about 8 years. We were kind of the first ones to do, you know, there was, you know, early days there was, you know, a couple of forks out there like DSA and all that kind of stuff. Scooter Zone had one.
Yeah, the Scorcher and the Epic.
Yeah,
I love those forks.
So we're in those early days and stuff like that. But we developed this fork, and in a little bit of a way, I just thought, you know, I'm just gonna make it thick. Let's make it just brutally strong kind of thing. And so it was called the SOB, slightly overbuilt. If you guys have ever wondered what that SOB means. You know, and then from there it went from let's just say like the deck. I wanted to call it the Ace, and the Ace was kind of simple, didn't really stand out to me, so it was like Ace of Spades, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah. And then it ended up being abbreviated into AOS, you know, and that's still around today. Yeah. You know? Amazing deck.
The V5 just came out.
Yeah,
just came
check
out.
it out. And from then on, it was just like, okay, well, let's keep that theme. So the KOS was the first complete that we ever did. So KOS is King of Spades. So it was you know, you had the AOS, which was like the top flagship, and then it started working down. Prodigy kind of broke that ground of just sort of my idea at the time, you know, and we're talking 9 years ago, guys. Yeah. So the Prodigy, I can say right now, the Prodigy, what it is now, is at least $1,000 scooter equivalent to back then.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like, you know, you couldn't get anything like that. It would have to be aftermarket, all that kind of stuff.
Colors, everything.
Yeah, forging didn't exist back then, like all that kind of stuff, like 3D forging, no. So the Prodigy came in that way, and I felt like it was a good sort of like entry scooter at that time. It was like, cool, yeah, let's do that. Colt, I do actually like the name Colt. A lot of people sort of think it's different, some different things. Yeah. It's a little weapon.
Hey, it's
a little weapon. If you're
not wrong.
Not to endorse guns or anything like that, but it's a little weapon. Yeah, so you know, so literally, you know, Lambo wheels. I think we all know what that one comes down to. Yeah, like cars and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so it's pretty much like I get to name it whatever I want, whatever I feel, but I just make sure I'm not stepping on anyone's toes in the industry or, you know, close to it kind of thing.
Which part took the longest to name? Is there a specific one that stands out to you that it really took, like, you went through all kinds of names multiple times?
You know what? The new Gap wheels.
Really?
Yeah, like we are. Like I won't say some of the names, but we come up with this name. We're like, yeah, that's good. That's a really good name. It's a good name. And then I guess that person, that brand does it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so yeah, the Gap wheels was again going back to the car thing. You know, it's all about the gap. You know, if you've got a nice car, you want to look at that gap between the wheel. Yeah. So it was like wheel, gap, and then that's sort of how that worked. But it took a while. We just couldn't come up with anything that we were into. You got
the good names for all of them now. I think they all make sense. They all fit the parts properly. Hey, comment down below, what's your guys' favorite named NV part? I'd love to hear it from you guys, but I think it's time to move on to the next one.
Let's do it.
All right, so the next question comes from Beckett Ellis Duncan.
What was the first complete made?
What was the first complete made? I mean, this is gonna be a big question because this is the start of essentially your legacy. So what was the first one you actually came up with?
Well, I tell you, first of all, we didn't think we were going to do a complete. My sort of thought process of Blunt and MB, or Blunt at the time anyway, that we're going to be a parts company. I kind of like the idea. It was simple. We could just focus on individual parts and not, you know, try to put something together. But we got to a point where we had everything. Like, you know, we're making grips down to wheels to brakes, all that kind of stuff. So we had the AOS out, Ace of Spades, so we went for the KOS, and that's how that went.
So KOS was the first one?
Yep, yeah. It probably took about 8 months to develop. The thing is, it's not just a matter of just putting everything together. Like, you got to go through, you know, standard testing, EN testing. You got to make sure you hit price points, which are, you know, obviously very important in this industry. Packaging, just trying to figure out. The big one was just how you would put a scooter in there and not get like scratched and rattle around and all that kind of stuff. So it was a long sort of period of just trying to figure it all out.
Was there anything in particular when you were creating that scooter, or any scooter in particular, was there any specific part that was a lot more difficult to actually come up with?
So pretty much back then, if you were to buy a complete, it more or less came with a threaded headset.
Right.
Like there was probably a few out there, which I won't mention those brands or anything like that, but generally if you were to buy a complete, it was threaded headset. We didn't really want to go that route. We wanted something that, you know, it was a pro level scooter that had the bells and whistles and all that kind of stuff. And so we sort of had to look at the compression, because the idea was that, you know, you pull it out of the box, put the bar on, and then you're off and, you know, going kind of thing. So we had to look at different compressions, and, you know, it was hard. Like we're just trying to figure out, like, okay, well, if we do that, but then, you know, how do we guarantee that they're going to be able to do it up properly, and then how do we get our insurance to approve it, all that kind of stuff, right? So we looked at the end we looked at HIC, but at the time, oversized bars were not really available for aftermarket, and we certainly didn't do our oversized bars at that time. Mm-hmm. So if our customer bought that product and they wanted to upgrade, they would only able to go to an oversized, not a standard bar that we had 4 or 5 different bright bars, you know, that we would sell. So we looked at HIC, which is a great compression, and, you know, those guys who...
Shouts out to Corey and Carrie Monsbrucker.
Yeah, appreciate it. So we looked at it and we're just like, hang on, you know, why don't we just sort of, you know, we just downsize it. That was simply it. But the problem is with that is that you're downsizing the compression ring. And that was the tricky part of it. Yeah. So in the early days, and I don't expect anyone probably watching this would know what we did.
Doubt it.
we made this whole sort of assembly that, you know, would go in and you know, get the compression worked out and whatnot. But we found after, you know, a month or 2 of riding that it was cracking. So we had to redesign it again. So it was probably like 8 months of development to go into it and trying to figure out just how we can make it all, you know, stick together, make it all, you know, strong and lockable and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, and once we figured that out, we went through the last bit of the testing, got it approved, got our a tick by the insurance company and all that kind of stuff, and EN tested and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, we launched it, KOS.
And now that IHC compression is on pretty much every scooter on the market today, almost.
Yeah, and the big thing is, like, what we did was we just, you know, at the end of the day, we listened to stores, and what we wanted to make sure that, you know, like, we've got, there was so many different products out in the market. You know, we had Mad Gear that had probably a 70 mil head tube, like really, really small at the time. District, which was just massive. It was like a 120, 130 almost, like it was quite thick. We went for a BMX one, which was, you know, and I'm talking from the cup to the cup, so this is what the head tube was. And we went for a 105, which is a BMX size. And so, yeah, like if you were to try to put a SCS together or anything like that, it just wouldn't work, you know. Like, well, you know, so we wanted to make something that was universal across. We launched it with the KOS, and since then it's been pretty successful. Yeah,
I think I definitely agree. It's the same compression that I ride, as I said before. Probably the same compression a lot of you guys ride. If you guys have an Envy scooter, that is the compression that you are riding right now. But yeah, I mean, you smashed that one, killed it.
Hey Raymond and Envy, I'm Aiden. I was wondering who was the first sponsored Envy team rider?
Ooh, okay, good question, an awesome one, and I think I know the answer to this one. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say it was Max Peters.
Definitely Max Peters.
But that was way before I was actually on the team. So how exactly did that come about?
Shout out to Max. Yeah, so yeah, back in my day, rode BMX. Traveled with this guy called Lindsey Brown. We've traveled all over the world. We've done some pretty amazing things, and you know, I was riding with him one day, and I sort of said, like, hey, look, you know, I'm looking at doing this, you know, scooter thing. Like, what do you think of that and stuff like that? And he goes, oh man, like, my nephew, he's kick-ass. Like, you gotta see him. And like, you know, like everyone talks about their family members, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm sure, you know, I'm sure he's great. He goes, no, I'll go out and film. Like, I'll film this weekend. I'll send you a video. Check it out. And so we get this video, and whoa, like definitely like just blew me away. Yeah, definitely blew me away. And like, this is back like Max would have been riding, you know, like, yeah, Ultra Pro.
Yeah, heck
back
yeah.
then, you know, kind of thing. And yeah, so I called him up and, you know, pretty much said, hey, like, would you like to develop some excuse me, literally I remember sitting down with him, designing his bar. He would probably be one of the first riders that had a signature part, like especially for us, but back then there would have been too many people that would have had a...
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think I remember that. I remember that bar.
Yeah.
Very, very well, actually.
Yeah. So it was just like, you know, let's get this going, let's build this brand, and yeah, it was from day one.
And now he's a dad.
He's a dad.
Now
Great
he's a
dad. Really
yeah.
good dad.
Shouts out to Max and Asher.
Ash,
Man,
yeah.
hey, I remember being on a bunch of tours with him. I've hung out with Max a lot. Great rider, even still to this day. And yeah, again, shouts out to Mr. Max Peters. All right, guys, that is gonna do it for today's video. Really quick, I just want to say thanks to Denny. Thank you very much for sitting here with us. I know it's really rare for anyone to be able to get in the same room with you and get like an interview going. And the fact that all these kids could sit here and ask you questions it's so rare. Awesome. So yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Very much appreciate your support as well, guys. Really do.
Yeah, you guys are all so awesome. Thank you guys so much for putting all of your questions forward on Instagram. I know I didn't get to every single one of you guys, but we got to all the ones that I thought might be really cool questions and a lot more people would like to see. And but yeah, all of your questions on Instagram were amazing. You guys are all incredible, and thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Make sure you guys do follow NV Scooters on Instagram, as well as check out the website. Again, the application is going to be going up very, very soon. If you guys want to be a sponsored rider for NV, go fill out the application and we're going to see what you guys got. But until next time, I'm out of here. Later, guys.
See ya.